No quorum then. I'd like to call to order the special city council meeting Tuesday, April 12th, 2020, and the time is 6:01. Can we please have roll call?
Councilmember Baker.
Here.
Councilmember DeMonico.
Here.
Councilmember Curley. Councilmember Mayor Pro Tem Lucido.
Here.
Mayor Owens.
Moving on to item 2, hearing of the public. Does anyone at this time wish to be heard? I see no hearing of the public. Let's move on to item 3, new business, and we'll start with A, community building goals. Would either one of you like to start off the discussion?
Or did our city manager want to?
Oh, yeah, she can too.
No, we went through some of this at that 1 hour session we had.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm trying to open my computer back up, but for some reason it's just like stuck on the screen. But let's see. So I sent over an updated document showing some of the things that, well, I should probably preface this with, this document was not actually voted on. This was just the ideas that we put together based on the conversation. So it's not like a formal document or anything that is moving forward, just a working document of ideas that were put together. So we did finalize the neighborhood goals, and we're moving into community building. We did start talking about the parks, keeping the parks clean, and then embracing RARE with the current activities that they have going on, especially senior activities, ensuring that we are sharing those on our social media platforms and in our newsletters so that our residents are aware of it. We were looking into some additional commissions the mayor had mentioned previously. And then also engaging and continuing to engage with the current civic organizations that we have, like the Lions Club, Kiwanis, and Rotary. And that is kind of where we left off. If we'd want to get into or hear council's ideas in creating systems of open space or ways to add positivity, building on the perception of Eastpointe, that would be great. We can kind of fill out this form and then move forward.
So the one thing that I guess I would like to add maybe to this form is I would really like to, I know it's like already in our 5-year budget, and we've talked about this before, but there's a lot of things in our parks that first of all need to be updated. There's a lot of fencing issues, things like that. Cement work at Kennedy Park, try to focus on getting some of these maintenance things done so we can start maybe saving money in the future to do some sort of like water feature at one of the parks, like Kennedy Park, like a splash pad, which I know we've discussed in the past and has been, like I said, I believe in our 5-year plan.
Got it.
Yeah, I had that written down also, just CIP for this parks. Just need to keep going on that for sure.
Sounds good. I know that at the Parks Commission, they were talking about the signage that we talked about a few meetings ago. They were choosing out some colors for the signage, still trying to keep it warm and welcoming and everything, the language that was going to put on and so forth and so on. So I think that'll help add to the positive image as far as,
Yeah.
for the public.
And I mean, I feel like we have been working on our parks when we've been able to, so
Yeah.
definitely a plus. So I guess we can move on to business and industrial district goals.
Yes. Actually, Mayor Pro Tem, can we pop back to neighborhood just for a quick
Sure.
second? So at the last goal setting, we had talked about, well, you guys have received plenty of emails in regards to rodents in the city of Eastpointe. There's certain pockets of Eastpointe that have been dealing with this. One of the things that administration has been talking about is potentially making an adjustment to the ordinance that would allow us to partner with a pest control business that would allow us to, it's not ironed out yet, but either require where we would bill the property owner and then be able to roll that on and ensure that those bills are paid for pest control services, or partner with an organization where we could actually utilize them and refer, say, a property owner to them. But obviously, this would have to go into adjusting the ordinance and then the fee schedule as well, so that it is a fee that we could actually charge from the city. But if we have direction from council, we can move forward in adjusting that and adding that into the fee schedule for when we propose that, if you guys are open to it.
Yeah, I mean, that's something I'd definitely be interested in looking at a proposal for.
Is that something that'd be different than like we do the dangerous building hearings and show cause hearings? We've kind of ordered certain things recently. I think, we've tried to just clean up instead of just keep waiting and waiting for a homeowner to.
Yeah, I would see it more in terms of like how we deal with tall weed and grass. So we would try to, work with the homeowner, give different direction, and then when it gets to a point where there is no change, then we could utilize the organization to come in and charge the fee. So it would not be the first response, but ultimately it could be something where right now we really don't have a way or anything in the ordinance to make a change, right? Like, we can go to certain properties and code enforce and require that they put baits or traps out, but if there's no change or we don't see rodents or whatnot, there's nothing that we can, require for anything to actually happen for long term. Or if we're continuing to go back to a property, there's nothing in the ordinance that allows us to enforce that moving forward. And so if we actually add additional language and develop that further, hopefully we can actually take action from the building department, but it would be more from a perspective of like dealing with tall weed and grass or snow enforcement, where, we give you a notice, you're aware of it, you can handle it on your own, and if you don't, then the city would take action.
Okay.
Yeah, I know that.
Interesting idea.
I'm sorry.
You go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I know that sometimes, well, there are things that all homeowners are encouraged to do to keep from harboring of rodents. No wood stored on the ground, it has to be up, elevated. If you have pets, clean up after your pets and, things of that nature. So I think it's definitely worth exploring, the best way to do this.
Yeah, and I don't even think we would need necessarily anything in the ordinance to move forward with like trying to partner with a company that like the city would just go to refer, because then we might be able to get a better deal for residents that do want to hire someone to come out. So like if we might be able to move forward with just looking at hiring a company even right now before we even change the ordinance to be like, all right, we're going to send all of our business towards you if you can give our residents a better rate. That might encourage residents more likely to hire someone if they can get a better rate, because it can get very costly.
I did have one minor thing I wanted to mention for this page too.
Okay.
I guess after they're done.
So we currently were looking at the ordinance with Rich, and I don't know if he wants to add into it, but there seems to be some form of language that may not have been utilized. I'll let him finish.
Thank you. Members of council, I looked at the current city ordinances, and it's under Article 6, Rodent Control of the Code of Ordinances, and it states at section 18-155, noncompliance with notice abatement by city cost upon the failure of any owner and/or occupant to comply with the directives of any notice of violation issued by the city or its authorized agent may enter upon the premises in violation and take whatever measures are necessary to remove the conditions or accumulations contributing to the violation and to exterminate or otherwise eliminate the rats. The cost incurred by the city for the same shall be billed to the owner of the property as listed on the last tax assessment roll. The bill shall be sent by first-class mail to the address shown on the records. The property owner's failure to pay the same within 30 days of the assessment shall result in the city adding the same to the next city tax roll, and the tax shall be collected in the same manner as provided by law for the collection of taxes by the city. And that was, it looks like that ordinance was passed back on November 18th of 1986. So I'm not aware if it's currently being used, but it appears that there is something that could be used.
Well, we got that done quick.
Yeah. Check.
Check, done.
It just says the cost incurred by the city. It doesn't specifically identify. Part of that is that the city could hire a contractor to do it. If the city didn't have, DPW, for instance, or, whatever department would do that. So it'd be a contractor. Yes. Sorry.
And,
So- Go ahead.
oh,
Yes,
unless you
Colin.
had additional on that, I was gonna mention one. Okay, just for that very first item on neighborhood goals, just adding 9 Mile along with Kelly for encouraging mixed-use development. I know we have plenty of zoning changes and all that, but just figured if we're mentioning Kelly, should mention 9 Mile also.
Will do, thank you.
So,
All right, we're moving on to business and industrial district goals.
All
Would you
right.
like to start?
Absolutely. So business and industrial goals. So I'll read down the objectives. 1, increase tax revenue and quality of investment in the city. Prioritize vacant, underutilized, non-residential properties for redevelopment. Revitalizing Eastpointe's commercial districts, and revitalizing Eastpointe's industrial districts.
well, so I think, just a couple thoughts after reading those that I had was, I guess, and a lot of these things are ongoing, maybe not necessarily going to be something brand new we're working on. But of course, if we're to, increase our tax revenue and things like that, we'll just want to work on, vacancies. And I think maybe, yeah, Ms. Holman's always working on that. If we can just continue to hopefully not have any, especially now that we're getting, I think I've been saying that everyone's been saying it for a while, getting further from the pandemic, hopefully. I mean, we're still in it. But, I think people are going to want to make more investment as we get further away. And then we're talking about the fee schedule too, right? I haven't reviewed what was sent out yet, but we're working on changing some of that. Again, I know we talked about a bunch of that recently, but then there was another review that McKenna's done, right?
Yes, they did the planning fee schedule, so like the planning and zoning fees, and going to like planning commission and their site plan review that I'll send out as well when I get the final version.
Okay. So I think all that stuff applies to both the first and second item, and then, I think we're just working on for the third and fourth, just improving the DDA. We're talking about this whole plan with the mayor's innovation, whatever it's called, mayor's innovation thing. And the 9 Mile plan, of course, and then the zoning changes, I think, are gonna take quite a few planning commission meetings, so we'll, need to get that going, I guess, basically, and it sounds like they're definitely, open to it on the planning commission. So.
Yeah, that would be my only thing, is just updating our zoning to reach, to mirror our master plan.
I would agree.
All right, let's move on to the next item, transportation, access, and mobility goals.
All right, so I'll go down these as well. Some of the objectives for transportation, access, and mobility are to provide for complete streets on all Eastpointe roadways, emphasizing safe, attractive, and comfortable access and travel to all users, enhancing public transportation conditions, expanding the existing non-motorized system through Eastpointe, improving circulation and access management of the street network.
So I guess if we're talking about that first one, what's our plan for bike lanes like, let's assume all options, you know, if we could do them on 9 Mile, if we can't. I know we put in for the grant, and I don't remember whatever happened with that, right? Mr. Abraham put in the grant for bike lanes. Was that on Stevens though, and not on 9 Mile? Or the one that was with St. Clair Shores, us, and Warren?
Yes. I believe it
What-
was through Stevens.
It was.
What happened with that?
I think the biggest problem was it didn't have a place to end. It just dead-ended in the growth spec. And bike lane has to start and end in a bike lane. You just can't put one intermediately.
But don't they have bike lanes on Groesbeck, or is it just Van Dyke?
Maybe it's Van Dyke.
I know Van Dyke has them.
Yeah.
I don't think Groesbeck does. I wouldn't want to ride a bike on Groesbeck.
Well, I mean, they have them on
Barely
Van
want to drive
Dyke.
a car on Groesbeck.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, what if we just get to Van Dyke just a little further?
Look into it again.
Yeah, like how was did we get a response, or like what was like the potential for that, or I don't remember getting anything to us.
No, I don't
No.
even, I don't know how far we got into it.
I don't think we got the grant at the time, but the plan when we were meeting with St. Clair Shores and Warren was that St. Clair Shores wanted it to come from the water and come up and across Stevens, and then, which would match with us, although we do have the parking lane issue. It would come to Hayes and come down, because that's, again, another wider road, and then go over on 9 Mile, which is what Warren wanted. I believe Van Dyke has the bike lanes, but not Groesbeck. But it was through SEMCOG, and of course, that was before the pandemic, so it's definitely something that we could follow up on.
So if we did them on Stevens, couldn't we like limit the parking just to one side so we could open up enough space, so we could do bike lanes on both ways then? You know, just for parking
like
on Stevens.
Repainted, basically.
Yeah, we would have.
Park it on one side and make the bike lane on the other.
Something like
I think
Yeah.
a good plan would be to park on one side, say the south side, and then make the bike lane on the north side of the road. That's just one option.
If we're gonna do them, you probably need them both ways, though, right? For it to be useful.
You would need
Right.
them both ways, but they're only like a half a lane, so we'd have enough space then.
Well, so you're saying parking lane and a bike lane on one side, and then just a bike lane on the other, and we should be able to fit that in?
We could even have the bike lane both ways on one side.
Yes,
to each other.
that was the goal, was the.
Like, you know, have
Oh, you could
one
do-
going
oh.
east and west and one going, as long as they're separated.
Yeah.
And then we have arrows, kind of.
Oh, okay.
And one of the reasons Stevens was selected was because it connects all the parks.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
I know one time me and Ms. Walton were talking about bike lanes specifically, just ideas. And there was one that she was aware of that some people even do. It's kind of like along the sidewalk and not in the street. It's just like a designated area for that, that method of travel, so.
I mean, I think Topher is a great option if we could do bike lanes on Topher too. People can ride it, his kids ride their bikes to schools, and there's a school there, and,
And it's
there's-
basically the same
yeah.
as Stevens, right?
I think those would be, if we tried them out, I mean, because I know there's different ideas and different views about bike lanes. You know, I know some cities that have them where you see some use, a lot of them you don't see any use. So it's kind of like if that was a thing you're going to try, I think those are better streets to try them on, to see how people utilize them. Maybe even safer streets to try them on.
I mean, I know Stevens right now gets a ton of bike traffic. Like, I see a lot of people riding their bikes on Stevens. So it would definitely be something nice to have on Stevens. All right. Do you guys have anything else to add to this section?
For the second bullet point, I think for a long time I thought how we could do this, and I think 9 Mile would be a perfect time, but I think we certainly need more bus shelters.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, we've got a lot of, some of them are just a sign, you know, and that's all. So I think for sure, at least on 9 Mile, we should budget in and talk to Smart, however that works. I know at some point in time, I talked to Fred Barbarette at Smart, and he was saying they had some sort of deal where they were doing like, I don't know if it was hundreds, a lot of them across all Metro Detroit, and they were able to do them cheaper then, so, you know, whoever they hired was doing one after another, so I don't know if other communities are gonna be doing it also. Maybe we can time it and everybody can get a deal or something like that. Maybe Smart would know if anything like that's coming up.
Yeah, that might be something definitely to consider putting in when we do the new landscaping for 9 Mile with the reconstruction project, like just look at adding those bus shelters at that time.
Mayor Pro Tem, if I may, Macomb County is looking at 9 Mile as a corridor, quote unquote. And so that may be an opportunity there. They were very excited. I think I explained before that we had done the SEMCOG study for 9 Mile, the corridor plan. So that may be something to add to the top of the list. That and of course landscaping, green spaces, when we're working with the county.
We do have a lot of people that use our bus system in Eastpointe. Like, I see a lot of people out there waiting for the bus.
For sure.
All right, expanding the existing non-motorized system through Eastpointe, kind of went with that.
Well, if there's anything interesting, like, I think like Mr. Baker, like you were saying about if we can do different things with the sidewalk even. I mean, I think we figured out bike lanes might be good, as we were talking about, of course, on Stevens and Topher, but, you know, I don't know, wider sidewalks or things like that, if it's appropriate. I think that'd be interesting to investigate.
Yeah, it's just really
Certain
kinda-
areas.
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, just I think it's really where does it make sense if you know you're going to put them in? Where does it make sense to try it,
Yeah.
Right.
or you know to utilize them?
And the last one, improve circulation access management of the street network, of the street network.
I just had more
Oh, you said
signs
more?
down.
Yeah.
I don't know what they'd be at this point, and actually, I think we should get rid of some signs. Some signs, I think, are,
I think we need to like go through our city and look at the signs that we have up, because I think some of them are probably obsolete now.
yeah, a couple of them where they mention, like, this ordinance will be enforced. I'm like, yeah, I think all of our ordinances should be enforced. I think there's one on Stevens. I don't know, maybe we had truck parking was a big issue or something, like, I thought that's what maybe Councilman Curley told me one time.
Oh,
There's-
okay.
Maybe we put those up, but there's like, it says like no truck parking on, I don't even know what it says, but I'm like, why, nobody's gonna read this and be like, oh, guess I can't park my semi on Stevens. So, like, it'll just look nicer if we have less, you know, signs like that, I think. Maybe next time I come across it, I'll get a picture and I'll send it to you, Darren.
Definitely.
Mr. Baker, you have anything to add?
Yep, sounds good.
All right. Additional goals. I like the funding pension. No back.
Hey, maybe
Number one,
this-
I'll put
yeah,
priority right there.
and maybe the state will help us do that, I guess. Yeah, has there been any movement, Mr. Blum, do you know, on that bill? I don't think I've heard anything.
I have not heard any updates on the bills, but next meeting on the 19th, we'll be selecting the bond counsel and the municipal financial advisor for the pension bonds.
Oh, okay,
We are moving.
nice.
All right, the number two, the second one was the museum property. Have any comments about that?
No, what about it?
I think, I know, it must got brought up at the last meeting, so that's why it's on here. So one thing I would say about the museum property maybe is whether we're gonna keep the military museum there or if we were gonna use it for a different use, I think we need to look like long-term at like maybe trying to, I know right now I think we do like a 2-year lease or whatever, 4-year lease on there, to make sure that whatever goes in there is gonna be there for a long-term use, because I would like to start seeing maybe someone get in there that's gonna do some improvements to the building. And if you're just if you don't know if you're gonna have it in a couple of years, you're not gonna put any money into it, or, you know, so.
Sounds good.
Internet accessibility?
And I don't know what we mentioned on this before, but I do know SEMCOG's got a cool page that shows who has access to high-speed internet, and every single resident in Eastpointe does, which, I mean, to us probably seems like who doesn't, but like you should look at that map, and it's pretty crazy how many people still don't even really have access to high-speed internet just across the state, or at least in the SEMCOG area. But were we talking about, because I think, I mean, affordability then is the issue, right? And I don't know if anyone's done it. I know I've just thought about it in the back of my head. I don't know if I've ever mentioned it, but like, basically, the whole city having, I don't know if this is gonna be the future of just like most cities, where basically the internet is provided by the government and everybody pays a little something. I know some people choose not to have the internet, but I think that's gonna be fewer and fewer and fewer and fewer people as time goes on. Because then it would be cheaper for everybody if we just had, but then obviously everybody's got to pay into it and it'd be like a tax or something, but I don't know. I don't know if that's where we were going with this item being on here. I don't remember what we talked about at a previous meeting for internet accessibility.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that, right now, I don't know if I would want to make everyone have to have internet and pay into it. Like you said, it would be cheaper for other people, but there's a lot of people, some of the senior population in the city probably don't use it, and so
Yeah.
why should they be paying for it? So I don't think
Yeah.
it's something, I think future generations, like you said, everyone's gonna have it, and when we
Yeah.
get to that point, it'd be something to look at.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's something, trying to figure out how that works, because, how do you make it still optional? And, how do you survey people to see if they would be interested in paying into, like, what's the magic wand to wave to make it happen? Accessible to everybody, but not forced upon anybody, for those that may want to still, quote unquote, live off the grid, so.
Maybe it'd be like water where, you got to pay your ready to serve even if you don't ever turn a tap on.
Yeah,
So you pay some very, very minimal fee just for everybody to be connected, and, I don't know how you would charge people, like, because I think we're trying to get away from charging people for certain amounts of data, too, so, I don't know, just, I've read like a few things about it, and I think SEMCOG and other things like that would like to see everybody have internet, but I think their at least first thing is everyone should just at least have potential access, because some people
Right,
can't even
yeah.
buy it.
They can't even get it if they want it,
yeah,
yes.
so.
And
Think
luckily, we
that's-
do have the internet available at the library, so it's always available to our residents that
Sure.
don't have it at home,
Yeah.
so. All right. Anything else on this section?
Ooh, I think, well, I don't know if, I know we're gonna go through each department, but I guess maybe I did have, maybe just one thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I think just one thing. And I think we've talked about this before, but just something to maybe reduce, well, we switched all of our streetlights to LED, right? And that, well, was supposed to be cheaper. I don't know how DT's charging us an arm and a leg, and it's not as cheap as it sounded like it was supposed to be. But at least we're conserving energy for that, being environmentally friendly. I think maybe we could have a couple potential things for solar. And one, I've just thought about, we've got our giant yard at the DPW where the basin
Jim
is.
Basin, yeah. Didn't we talk about that one time, we're putting in solar panels back there?
I'm sure I probably brought it up at some point, and I haven't
I think you
looked
did.
too much further into it, but like, I was thinking there, or, Miss Todd, the library, because it has a giant south-facing roof. And I saw that Hazel Park received a grant recently to do something like that. So, to offset some electricity bills in the city. I think, especially, with how much more efficient they are, because I have them at my house, and I think I've had them for 10 years now. I think I got them in 2012. I've got like 11 panels, and I think it comes out to like $50 in electricity a month or something. But they're probably way more efficient now, too, so it could probably be quite a savings, and we'd make our money back pretty quickly, I think. And I don't know if maybe we can just get a grant like Hazel Park did. I don't know who, I can send that article. I have that saved somewhere. And then I don't know how the DPW yard would work, but it seems like we're not gonna be putting any giant, Caterpillar trucks or anything like that on top of that thing, right? I think we can't really put much on there, and panels, I think, are not very heavy, so, yeah. That's all. So just, I think, kind of crosses, different departments, so I thought maybe bring that up now.
If I can add, Mayor Pro Tem, I'm not sure, there was an NLC, the National League of Cities, is the powerhouse behind like the ARPA funds for federal dollars, and I had sent out a link in one of the recent weekly reports, but talking about broadband, they did, it's actually Ms. Holman, Mr. Blum, and myself have been working with the National League of Cities, and they did a study of Eastpointe and have uploaded all of the demographics. And so this is, what's on the screen now is a listing of broadband subscription in Eastpointe. And so they actually have it on a color legend. And there's a bunch of demographics. Initially it was kind of confusing to click through. Kim and I had to go through it a couple of times, but they have a lot of values. If you ever want to go through and look at a lot of the data that they have specific to Eastpointe, and they also have it for like the relief dimension and economy dimension. And so they have a lot of indicators that they looked at, a lot of the statistics for Eastpointe, if you'd like to ever review that. But one of them that I wanted to highlight, because Mr. DeMonico had mentioned, was broadband subscription in Eastpointe, if you'd ever like to review and see where we're at.
You said you sent this link to us before, or?
Yes, it was in one of the weekly reports, but I can certainly shoot it out again.
Okay. Must have missed that.
And then on the solar panels that you had mentioned, Councilmember, that is a topic of discussion. I know that is something that we've talked about in the design for the marketplace over in the DDA as well, and adding those on top of it. So we're certainly trying to find ways to add in some renewable energy in Eastpointe.
And we also discussed solar-powered streetlights,
Oh, right, yeah.
DBT funds.
Yeah, wind turbines, I think, don't work as well in Eastpointe.
Yeah, I don't know
so-
if we really have a field large enough for a wind turbine. All right, so we'll go to department-specific goals, and Ms. Walton, if you want to start with talking about the clerk's office?
Absolutely. So some of the main goals for the clerk's office are to increase election transparency, also election security. I know Macomb County has an election grant out right now to reimburse communities for their extended efforts in election security. So there are a lot of measures that we're going to go through. We were actually in the basement looking at different things that we could do here in Eastpointe to increase that as well. Delivering excellent customer service. Our clerk's office sees a lot of the individuals that come into City Hall and are likely, typically the first ones to direct anyone throughout City Hall. All of the clerks are working on cross-training as well, learning everyone's different jobs just to be able to assist the community better in the event anyone is absent or we get a really busy season for a specific department. And then organizing and updating all city records. This goes from minutes for boards and commissions to ordinances, across so many different spectrums, and just being able to organize and really clean things up in the clerk's office.
So I did have one thing I wanted to maybe add or suggest to the clerk's office too. I know when we were going through with ranked choice voting, we were doing a lot of campaigning about voting and getting people out to vote and things like that. But continuing that process even now to try to encourage people to come out to vote, because we still do have like a lower voter turnout in the city. So trying to raise that up, I think, is important.
Got it?
Yeah, for sure.
Mr. Baker, you have anything else?
Nope, sounds good.
Yeah, nobody's got amazing turnout for local elections, but ours is a little lower. Yeah.
I mean, for all elections across the board, though, not even just the local. I mean,
Yeah,
we're
that's
still
true.
on the lower end even for general elections.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, it's still way higher than local elections. but-
Yeah. 15%
Yeah.
or something for local.
All right. Move on to personnel.
All right. So we're looking to implement, and a lot of these you'll see in the budget as well. So it'll be a a familiar conversation when we get into May. We're looking to implement a learning management system so that we can provide consistent training opportunities to staff. We don't currently have that. Right now, most of the departments usually send people out of the city for training, and then bring people in for like full department training. So this would offer an opportunity to bring training directly to people's desks. So if there's any downtime, or if they can step away for a minute, they have an opportunity to actually train and move further along. Improving employee engagement and workplace culture. Doing competitive recruitment for public safety. Public safety in most of the communities right now is very, very hard to recruit and to keep people. They're kind of moving around, and it's a very, very limited selection. Not many people are going into the fields right now. It's a very tough position. So ensuring that we're competitive in our recruitment for public safety to provide service is very important. Increasing diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts through employee development and recruitment, and organizing and streamlining the onboarding process for staff.
So, real quick, I mean, I think that, like, our HR department's doing a really good job with, like, improving workplace culture and doing things like that. And our public safety director, I think, has been doing a good job with recruiting, too, which is nice, because we didn't have that in the past. And I think he's really done a good job with increasing our recruitment process, so.
I would agree.
And you guys have any other comments? All right, we'll move on to finance.
Keep it quick with finance. Begin the process for the issuance of a pension bond, which we'll see next week, and then continuing to receive unmodified audit opinions.
I guess, well, one thing for that, I guess the one thing we always, after we do the audit, is the bank reconciliations. Are we
Yes.
like keeping more up to date with those? It's always mentioned during budget, and seems like something we should certainly be more up to date on at any point in time.
Yeah, we've gone through the process, got the individual trained up. She's caught everything up, and we're on track month to month now.
The audit is behind, though, so I do want to caution that. So it is for like previous, so she's finally catching up. So this may pop up one additional time, but after that, because she has been spending the past year catching up. But when they come through for the audit, it'll be part of the year that she's spent, catching up on a role that was not being fulfilled. So it may pop up again. I just want to caution that.
Well, partial year will be better than the whole year.
All right, please.
All right. So increased staffing for PD. There's some ideas that the public safety director has shared in his budget in terms of traffic control that staffing could assist with. Continuing to improve the recruitment and retention process, providing the East Detroit schools with a full-time officer, beginning the department accreditation process through the Michigan Association of Chiefs of Police, and continuing building improvements.
And I think a lot of these things we're probably going to be talking about during budget, so.
Yes.
You guys have anything else right now?
I guess I just want to make sure any of these, like building improvements and stuff, this will all be built into the capital improvement plan,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, any of the major projects are definitely built into capital improvement.
Fire?
Fire, also increasing staffing, which we had talked about that previously, purchasing a new engine, which is in the budget, continuing to improve the recruitment and retention process, building on community relations, and continuing building improvements at the firehouse.
Yeah, that's one thing. Police and fire used to do like a thing in the parks over the summer where they kind of like had like community engagement where the fire trucks came out and police came out. And doing something like that for the community, I think would be nice if we could get back to doing that event. It's nice for the kids to be able to come out and actually, I know the schools do field trips to the firehouse and things like that, but I think it's good for the community to have engagement even with our police officers and things like that, so.
Yeah, when was that new truck being delivered?
You know, they just started to build the frame, and,
So like next week then?
well, you know, we have a performance bond, so every day they're late, it's $100 a day, so, it's gonna take probably another 6 to 8 months. And then this new engine, we already have received a letter that the price for the motor already went up, so it's just, the pricing's crazy, especially for steel and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I think 6 to 8 months would be in this fiscal year, so I think that'll be perfect for community relations. Bring everyone out for a new fire truck, do a little
Yes,
ribbon
yeah.
cutting or something with, or whatever. You know, get the kids out and check it out. They can hop in or whatever.
Love it.
All right. Move on to the library.
All right, so some of the goals for the library are to provide convenient access to library resources and services, expanding awareness to increase engagement with the library community, maximizing staff potential to provide optimal services to the public, and create a welcoming and functional environment.
All sounds good to me.
Yep.
All right, move on to DPW.
All right, so complete capital projects.
Are there any
im-
new ones? Yeah, I wrote.
Speak on it. We'll speak on that at the capital improvement budget meetings.
Darren will have a very
we've got-
large section.
We've got plenty to go around.
All right.
Implement cross-training, train on OSHA safety, and implement a field management software program.
What's that last one? What's that mean exactly?
So the field management software program is basically bringing the BSNA out into the field.
Oh, okay.
You know, bringing all the work orders onto a tablet, being able to put it with the GIS, and really just looking at the jobs while you're out in the field.
Okay.
You're saying bringing it up to where we should be.
21st century.
Yes, 20%.
Right about there.
Adding technology.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right. You guys have anything else?
Nope, that newfangled idea sounds good.
Move on to economic development.
All right, expanding a relationship with Macomb County departments, including CDBG initiatives, proposed county 9-mile corridor plan, and brownfield and other development incentives. Continue grant research and applications for projects that enhance the community for residents and businesses. Communicate and collaborate with other boards and commissions on city projects. Continue partnership with Habitat for Humanity and Community Housing Network. And participate in zoning ordinance updates for redevelopment-ready community recertification.
Nice.
Well, I guess the only other thing I would add on here, which we kind of already talked about too, is maybe looking like for some of our vacant lots, like trying to get some new construction building, things like that, which we did kind of touch on earlier, so. All right, we'll move on to the building department.
All right, so for the building department, is to provide consistent and to be consistent and proactive with code enforcement, updating all permits and applications, and ensuring that they're fillable online, going paperless, which is something they're currently working on now, by uploading all their documents that they receive over the counter into BSNA, updating the zoning ordinance to match the master plan, and updating the fee schedule per our recent audits.
So, just, sorry, one clarification on the fee. You said, so we didn't send the audit out yet, or just not the final one? I thought you had maybe sent it out, I just hadn't reviewed it.
Yes, Carlisle Wortman did a building department schedule audit, so that was sent out. The McKenna did a planning and zoning in terms of like their services, and they did a separate audit specific to planning and zoning services in more detail. And that one is still in draft mode. I'm supposed to get a copy sometime this week of the final version of that study, and that will be sent out.
That first one's the one you're talking about from months ago. Then that-
Yes, Carlisle Wortman was, I think that was, I want to say maybe February?
Okay. Okay, thanks.
I can send them both out again at the same time, though.
So, you guys have anything else you want to add to this?
Nope.
All right. Guess we can move on to mayor and council reports then. We'll start out with Councilman Baker.
Very productive meeting, thank you. That's it.
Councilman DeMonico.
I'll echo what Mr. Baker said. Thanks, everyone, for coming out. I think this was a nice little conversation for sure, so, and a nice, very brief meeting, so, but I think we got through everything and talked about stuff we needed to, so.
I just want to thank all the department heads for putting their list of goals together for us to review, and Ms. Walton for the time she put in, kind of giving us like the different objectives and things like that, so we kind of had a place to start with. So I do really appreciate that, and I just hope everyone has a great evening, and thank you guys for coming out, and I guess I will call for adjournment.
So moved.
Support?
Please call the roll.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lucido.
Yes, and that, end the meeting at 6:46.